who's like my mother, my Scientology mom anyway, very close to her, and Brenda, my mother-in-law, are like the closest of friends. They've both been on staff for about 40 years. Okay. Liz just died on the training program, just dropped dead. Okay. Um, she tells Brenda she's not feeling well. She's on the program, and a Sea Org member takes her to an ER and drops her off. Doesn't let anybody go with. Yes, Panko. Doesn't let anybody go with. Just drops her off, and she goes in, and it shows that she's first severely dehydrated, and then she rallied, and then she died. She went into apparently cardiac arrest. She was 61 years old. Very young and horrible. Just a horrible. It was so rough for me. It was that she died. Didn't need to die. Probably could have been avoided. But they worked her to death. She had been at Flag around the clock, studying overnight, sleeping all day, probably a horrible diet, over fucking worked, right? Died alone, dropped off at an ER and died alone. What a time. I mean, she put her whole life into that cult. Think about that for a minute. Staff member for 40 years. And that's how her life ended. That's how they treated her. That's how she got to go. She got to die alone in a hospital, dehydrated severely with nobody there. They didn't even call her husband of 40 or more years. They didn't even call her husband. He didn't even know she died. They didn't call her daughter. Okay. So I'm going to blow my nose, guys. Hold on. Sorry, I think I am having some allergy issues, but I'm also halfway crying. It is Martha Slemmer. So yeah, I mean, the whole thing was just absolutely horrific, the way this woman was treated. So I immediately am just heartbroken, right? And I reach out to Alex, her husband, who I'm very close to. I've known my entire life. I met Liz when I was 3 or 4 years old. I'd known this woman my whole life, and her husband, Alex. They'd always been nice to me. And I reach out to Alex, and I'm like crying. And I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sad. I'm heartbroken. And you know what his response is? Yeah. He was like, it's really too bad. You should come into the org for a loss of a person assist. Her husband. That's his response to me. And you know how good those assists are, because when Fred died, my husband, I had to go in for a loss of person assist. And that's what broke me away from science. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. My husband just died. I go in because I'm ordered to go in for a session and a loss of a person assist. And what do? Look around here and find something that doesn't remind you of Fred. For 3 straight hours, I'm crying, having to look around, finding things around the room that don't remind me of Fred. When the last thing I want to do is not think about Fred. I want everything to remind me of Fred. Everything. I never want to forget Fred. Okay? So he says, hey, come on in for a loss of person assist. I'm never going to do that again. And 2, it concerns me that you have no emotion about your wife that just died. That's concerning. Okay. So I'm giving you this background here. That has nothing really to do with today, but I'm giving you kind of a background as to, this is how I tell stories. They may drag out, but I kind of want to lay out the foundation work here. So everybody's allowed to fly back for her funeral. They're allowed to come back for that from the flag training program. And the only reason they're allowed to do that, Brenda told me, was for PR purposes. They wanted to cover their asses PR wise. Like, it would have looked bad. One of their own just dropped dead. So they had him come back. Well, Brenda's sitting here. Liz and Brenda were in the same room. Birthing is what they call it in the Sea Org. There's 10 people in this room with them. Okay. 10 bunk beds in this tiny little room with one bathroom. Brenda would call me. They had to structure out when they got to take showers. She had to take a shower in the dark with her phone flashlight because lights out happened. They had lights out, like I think prison. And they would have a security guard come by and make sure the lights were out. And Brenda would text me from the shower and say, I'm in the shower, I'm going to bed. And I would go, you're in your 60s in the dark in the shower. That's not safe. Like, it's just the living conditions are so bad. So Brenda's texting me, telling me, this is insane. They're sharing a room with other people, right? They're sharing 10 people in a room, and they're all from other parts of the world. Okay. So Brenda's packing up Liz's shit. She's texting me. She calls me. She's coming back to Kansas City. She's packing up Liz's. And she's like, I have to be quiet about this because the other people in the room don't know that she died. Okay. Did you guys hear what I just said? It was interbulating. So it was bad news. In Scientology, if you pass on that somebody died, you're considered negative. That's negative. You shouldn't be sharing that. That's negative. You're being negative. So she's in the room quietly packing up this poor dead woman's stuff. And I'm like, what? And she goes, we've been given orders that we're not allowed to tell our roommates that she died because it will take them off the training program. It will interbulate them, which means trigger. It will trigger them from being able to go train overnight. They're going to need an assist. They're going to need some auditing time because they're going to be upset about the loss of their friend. So she was given orders not to tell everybody, oh, that empty bed over there is because someone just croaked. Yeah. No joke. So she's quietly putting Liz's into Liz's suitcase to get rid of it. They didn't even send it back to Kansas City. They were just going to get rid of that. They just wanted it away from the room, and they didn't want all the other roommates to know. This is the sickest thing, okay? This is torturous. How much is a loss of a person assist? Well, it goes by the hour, Lisa Kelson. So if you have a paid trained auditor doing it, it's like $500 to $800 an hour. So, yeah. So Brenda's letting me know. The reason I know all this is because she's on the phone with me packing up her stuff, and she's letting me know because she's coming back to Kansas City and she's excited to see me. She gets to come back for a Scientology funeral. She's been gone for years. They're allowing her to come back so that she can look good because she came to the funeral. Yeah. So she's letting me know the details of all this. And in the interim, she's telling me that I'm packing up her stuff, but we can't tell anybody that she died. Yep. Yeah, it is. Kim is blue. So Ty's channel, you go into debt. That's how. So we go to this funeral, and I'm going to get into what happened today, but I'm giving you a background. We go to this funeral, and this is the funeral I talked about, where they had little clappers, those little things you go to like a party store for like New Year's Eve or whatever you guys do out in the real world. We don't celebrate that stuff, but I've seen the stuff. It's like party stuff, and those like things you blow into at a child's party. Okay. I go to a Scientology funeral, and all of those things, those little noisemakers are on every table. What the actual fuck? I'm so triggered by this. So I go to this. I hadn't been to the org in a long time. Okay. This was a couple years ago. I hadn't been to the org in a long time. It's packed house. All the people I know are there. I'm just saying, yeah, party horns and clappers. I'm just saying hi to people. I'm very hurt. I'm sad about Liz. Everybody's there. Hey, everybody's in a good mood. Packed house. I'm in the chapel. Okay. And they give specific instructions once the funeral starts. And they're like, everybody, you're going to see these noisemakers on the table. And the reason for that is there's not going to be any crying aloud. And if we see anybody come down the tone scale, which means getting sad, anything but happy, when you're going down the tone scale, that's what that means. You're going down into more grief, anger, sadness. Okay. We want you to clap your clappers and start clapping and make as much noise as you can because we're not going to allow sadness. Not today. Okay, I'm immediately furious. And I think because my husband had died and I'd been to a lot of funerals, working in senior living, funerals mean a lot to me. Like, I can't tell you, I've been to probably 100 funerals in the last 5 years because I went to all this. I made friends with all the people I worked with, the seniors, and I would go to their funerals when they died. And I lost a lot of friends. Okay. It's serious. You're there to honor the person. Now they're personal, right? I'm not going to tell you what you should do at a funeral, but I know what I do. I honor the person. I close my eyes for a minute and I imagine all the good times I had with them. Typically, I cry my eyes out when I'm at a funeral. Funerals are very hard for me. So I'm at this funeral and they announced that. And again, Fred died and I'm just like, excuse me? You're telling me that I'm not going to be able to cry at this funeral? Really? So Brenda goes up to talk. People individually go up to talk. They do their Scientology funeral first. The chaplain does the minister does the reads out of the book. There's Scientology weddings that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. There's Scientology funerals that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. He covered A to Z. Okay, there's nothing we can't do without L. Ron Hubbard. So it's not like you can go up and talk. You've got to do the speech from LRH first. Okay, so we do that. And then each person goes up individually to talk about Liz and to give a story or say whatever they want to say. So my mother-in-law goes up. She's one of the first people. And Brenda's got a big heart. She cries a lot in situations like this, which is unusual because she's a 40-year staff member. And usually that's beat out of you by then. You're not really allowed to show emotion. That's why we do all those drills, guys. So she goes up, but she's particularly close to Liz. Hey, Curious Cat, good to see you. She's particularly close to Liz. So she goes up and she's like, Liz and I worked together for 38 years. And she was like, and like she starts to cry. Everybody starts, whoa, no crying. And I mean, people are screaming. And I am like, I was so pissed because I'm crying and I'm trying to cry. And yeah, Cat AC/DC fan, I'm so sorry. I am furious. I'm sure my face was red hot because I'm trying to cry. I'm sitting here doing this and people are like, no, woohoo! And like freaking the out. And it was so infuriating. It made me so angry. All I could think was, I've never been to a funeral like this before. It's insane, Brian Lucas. Sickening. And so that was the whole night. I endured that for probably 2 to 3 hours. Hey, Joel Sachs. Every time these stupid noisemaker, those plastic things are going off in my ears. And so then Liz's husband goes up there. As a matter of fact, I got a video from it. He sang a song. Okay? He sang a song. And we were talking about this today because it was super weird and inappropriate. There was not a tear from him. He sang this weird song on a guitar and he was like, Liz, you had to go, but we'll miss you so. Like stupid, weird, no tears, no nothing. This guy is her husband of like 40 years, maybe a little more. Here it is. Never even noticed. This is a Scientology. Do you guys want to see this? Here we go.
We never even noticed.
This is Alex.
That it was our anniversary. Come Saturday, we're going out to dinner, and we were going with some friends, and I still had something to do here at Old Building, not this here, but here. But anyway, I said, look, you go with them to the restaurant. I'll be there in just a little bit. I finished up what I had to do, about 10 minutes. And then as I was going over there, I noticed I'm just about out of gas, so I stopped at Quick Trip. Got gas. I was inside.
This is her husband, Alex. Do you guys want to see this? It's probably kind of long, but he sings a song. He sings a song about their marriage and like all of their anniversaries when they were on staff and how he missed all of it, or like how busy they were because they were on staff all these years. Do you guys, should I show this? I mean, I can, I don't know. it's a little traumatic for you, Julia. This is at the funeral. Yep. This is at the funeral. You see the chaplain thing with the Scientology cross. There's the Dianetics triangle. There's the Scientology thing. All right. Panko, you don't want to see it? Everybody's saying yes, except Panko. I mean, it's just a song. It's just weird. It's super weird. I'm just going to preface it with that. All right. Panko, just come back. If you don't want to watch it, come back in like a minute and a half. All right.
Hey, and I look down, and there's one of these big white 5-gallon paint buckets that has a bunch of bouquets of flowers. And I look at that, and I was like, oh, no.
People are laughing.
I missed our anniversary. Oh, I am so burned. I bought some flowers and had a stroke of genius. So I took those flowers, I marched into the restaurant, and I presented them to Liz, and she's, what's this? And it's like, oh, it's our anniversary. The 19th, right? Wink, wink. And she's like, oh, I completely forgot about it. So anyway, I got through that one okay. So now
this is a funeral.
To 2014, I believe it was. And I had Friday off, and I went Christmas shopping at Target. Came out, didn't really find anything that excited me. Came out, I sat down in the car, and this was at Target over off of Metcalf, and I was parked over at the side where there's just a wall, stone wall right in front of me, and I'm looking at this wall, and I went, oh no. It's the 17th of December, and I have not done anything. So the muse hit me, and I had a paper plate in the car, and I grabbed this paper plate, and I wrote another verse to this earlier song that I wrote for Liz. Oh. So I have the first verse, because it was just a little one-verse ditty, and I wrote another verse. I then went back into Target, and I bought a bouquet of flowers, and I came into the org right at the end of the staff muster before they got started on the evening's work, interrupted, presented her with the flowers, and sang the song, including the new second verse, which she'd never heard before, in front of all the staff. I know, really sweet, right? I definitely won props for that. Reversely, after that, Liz told me to never again play a song that I'd written about her in front of people. So, not because it was bad, but well, maybe it was. She never actually said why, but I respected that. So I never again played a song I had written for Liz in front of other people. But I'm going to tonight, and now we're going to fast forward again, because a few weeks ago, when Liz passed away, in that following week, I thought, I need to kind of wrap up this song. I need to bring it to closure. And again, the muse hit me, and I sat down and I wrote another verse. And I now have the song complete, and I'm going to play it for you. All right.
There's the Noisemakers. Just in case anybody thought I was lying, there's those effing Noisemakers. How do you guys feel about that? Let's hear that one more time. Just hear it.
I sat down and I wrote another verse. And I now have the song complete, and I'm going to play it for you. All right.
Can you understand now why I flipped out every time somebody started to cry? There it is. You guys know I wasn't lying. Yes, I took this video. I'm sure it's fine to play this. What are they going to do? Tell them that's not true? This didn't happen? Sorry. Here you go. Do you guys want to hear the song? Is this not the most emotionless talk, by the way? Does this have any emotion in it to you guys? People are laughing. He's just telling a story. Anyway, a few weeks ago when Liz passed away, I figured I should finish the song. This is so up. It's such a disservice. Are you guys okay with this, or do you want me to stop? Yeah, this is my life. This is what I grew up around, guys. This is exactly what my life was for almost 40 years. Yeah. All right, here we go. Here's the song. No emotion, no crying, no nothing.
This song is called Nuts About You. Trying to think of the first words. Hang on. Well, I just can't sleep, even though I can't cheat, because I'm always thinking of you. And I'm nuts about you, Lizzie, because I'm nuts about you, Lizzie. Yes, I'm quite head over heels about you. Well, you got me topsy-turvy, because your shape is nicely curvy, and I just can't keep my mind on my words. And I've tried concentrating, but it's really quite frustrating when I'm tripping on my feet like a jerk. Well, I'm nuts about you, so what do I do? I guess I gotta make you my wife. And if you feel the same, I guess there's no one else to blame, and so I love you for the rest of my life. Now I'm going to cheat on the next couple of verses because I don't know them as well.
He's OT7.
Now it's been 16 years since you told me I do, and I still can't keep my mind off of you. And I seem to have a blindness, a result of your so-fineness, and some symptoms that just seem like the flu. And I've learned to live with shivers, because I still get all a quiver when I hold on to your hand every night. And my heart is pounding badly, because I love you oh so madly, and I soar whenever you come inside. I'm so nuts about you, so what do I do? I'm glad you said that you'd be my wife. And since you feel the same, I guess there's no one else to blame, and so I love you for the rest of my life. Now it's been 33 years, and I'm still stuck on you, and I've no regrets in feeling this way. You've infected me with cooties, we do everything in twosies, because side by side we always will stay. I know that no one wants to hear it, because we always tend to fear it, but the physical can't forever stay. But this year you had to leave us, even though it kind of grieves us, but there's other games that you want to play. I'm still so nuts about you, so what do I do? I guess I'm gonna put it this way. Even though you've gone away, in my heart you'll always stay, because I love you for the rest of my life. I'll always love you for the rest of my life. We all will love you for the rest of our life.
Did you notice the last verse? He said something like, it's a shame you had to leave us, but there were games that you had to play, or something like that. Yeah, that's how that was my upbringing, guys. That was just another Tuesday. No big deal. Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry for the people who got upset about that. That was not to upset you, but I honestly kind of feel good that I played that. That's a good, I feel like sometimes I have some good, what do you call them, receipts to show things. At least you know I was telling the truth. Hey, Bo, about the clappers and the noisemakers. Insane, right? Okay, so let's get to the point of this story. Do I think he loved her? Yeah, I think he loved her, Zelda. They were very close. She loved him. They were extremely close. That doesn't change the fact, I don't know, Panko, am I? It doesn't change the fact that, why do we have freaking bots in here? Ban. Okay. It doesn't change the fact that, that was super. See, this is a really good insight, guys. I want you to see this is such actually a good example of why I don't have boundaries, why I don't think things like, does it make sense to you now when I'm like, oh, okay, so that's how we do this on Earth? Like, because that was my life. That's insane, right? That looks insane to you, correct? That was my whole 38 years. We had our own law. We had our own world. We had our own way of doing things. And we only surrounded ourselves with each other. And we were all like that guy. There was, yes, nothing phases me. There was no emotion to anything. The emotion was taken out of it. And it's awkward and it's a little bit insane. And it's creepy feeling, cringy feeling, all those things. But I'm glad that you're here. And I'm glad that we saw that together, because that is such an example of just another hour of my life all the time.